Mike Pendleton here with SureDog.com, and we are just days away. And I've had the opportunity, I was doing some research. I had the opportunity to cover this man several times. Have never had a one-on-one pre-fight interview with the man, the former champ, at the top of the freaking rankings for PFL, Sergio Pettis. Sir, how are you?
Doing well, brother. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. I see the
Yes,
White
sir.
Sox here. I know they're in
Yes, sir.
town. I
Yes,
gotta
sir.
ask you because I'm from Chicago as well. I don't live there currently, but I will be in town for 5 weeks. So I gotta ask, like, obviously I know you were there today, but what is it like just embracing this city? And I know PFL and Bellator have had you featured in this city. So what does it mean to you to fight in Chicago?
It means a lot, man. It's close to home. I got a lot of love for the city. Every time I come to Chicago, it's always a great time, whether I'm fighting or just here having a good time in general. Great food, great people. Weather's a little, Midwest weather, obviously, but I love it. I love Chicago. Big honor.
I was gonna say someone from Milwaukee, you know what the
Uh,
weather is in April in
for
the
sure.
Midwest, right?
Yeah, man.
Uh,
Hit or miss.
Exact. I was looking, I was like, well, because I'm in Missouri, so I'm like, maybe it'll be warm. Like, no, it's not even close, not even close.
Man,
But
freezing.
but the thing about this card is when I look at the card overall, and I don't make any storylines for the PFL, but it is veteran versus newcomer. It is almost in a sense where the PFL has said, here's all the best that you guys have known over the last 5 to 10 years, and here's all these new blood as you take on undefeated Mitch McKee in the main event. When you look at just how the card is shaping out, from before we talk about your fight, is this best for business for the PFL? Because I believe it is to showcase those who have been there, done that, and those that are trying to bring into the spotlight.
Yeah, for sure, man. I think it's a great opportunity for both sides. It's a great opportunity for the newcomers to face some big names and have some big opportunities, but also, for the guys like you said have been around and been established. It's a good showcase for them to go out there and test your skills against these young guys that are hungry, confident, undefeated. When you're undefeated, you have a different mindset. You're almost fearless out there because you haven't been touched up yet. You haven't taken that first L. So really, he has everything to gain, and I have everything to lose. So it could be a lot of pressure on my shoulders, if I view it that way. But yeah, man, I think it's interesting. I'm kind of going along with the flow, see how things roll. I know they got rid of the tournament format, they got new owners, and I'm here for it all, man. At the end of the day, it's fist fighting. It doesn't matter rankings. I've seen guys that have no rankings fight guys who have rankings, and they take it. So, I think it's cool opportunity.
Yeah, I definitely want to ask you about the future of the PFL. But when we look at Mitch McKee, your opponent, you just said, you've got everything to lose. He's got everything to win and earn. And he could come out because he is undefeated and relatively unknown. Do you feel like he may throw caution to the wind, be a bit more dangerous because, again, it's all on your shoulders?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's his only way of really making this fight a good night for him is he's got to make it a little ugly. You got to go out there and put me in some deep waters. In the beginning of the fight, I think he's gonna come out pretty hard. He's gonna trust his hands. I see he's got some knockouts with some hard punches, and not only that, the man can wrestle. He's a collegiate wrestler from Minnesota. So yeah. If I like I said, if I view it that way with all the pressure on me, maybe I could get crushed by the pressure. Sometimes pressure makes diamonds as well, though. So it could be either a shining moment or a moment where I have to sit back and figure out what's next.
Does this excite you? Because in MMA, we've seen so many veteran fighters who may look the other way on young and up and coming opposition and say, no, 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 like it's either gold or spotlight or nothing. So I actually give a lot of respect and credit to you for taking this matchup, not because of what Mitch McKee is, but in a sense that you could have looked elsewhere. So I know you're always game. I know you're always ready for a fight. But is this kind of something that you embrace in facing someone like Mitch McKee?
100%, man. I'm only getting older. I know I'm gonna be facing these young vets or these young guys that are trying to take out the vet. So yeah, man, I know it definitely could, be a hit or miss situation, just like the weather over here in the Midwest, hit or miss situation. But I've never said no to anybody throughout my whole career, not one single fight. I've always said yes, and I wasn't gonna start saying no now. So they gave me this opportunity. I'm hungry, man. I'm trying to stay busy. I'm trying to stay active. I'm 32 years old. I'm in my prime. So I want to make sure I stay active. So I was thankful for this opportunity.
Sergio, one of the things I've always wanted to talk to you about is the story, because this is our first time ever sitting down, is the
Yeah.
story of just you and your brother and all the triumphs and tribulations that you guys have gone through. I guess the one question that I would love to ask, because it's not just about fight week, my interviews, I want the world to know the fighter that I'm talking to. given all the adversity you face in your life, what pushes you after you've climbed the mountaintop, you've been through it all, you've achieved it all? What pushes you to this day to keep going?
Man, honestly, life pushes me. I got new goals. I got a kid in my life as well now, so I feel like I've just rejuvenated. I've been fighting for myself for the past 14 years, and now I got a son, and I got something to show to my son. That his father was a great fighter, a great human being on top of all that, and always tried his best. Always tried his best, no matter who he went against, and even if he was a smaller guy, I always will go out there and try my best. And not only that, man, I'm a lifelong martial artist. I've been doing the taekwondo since I was 5 years old. I started mixed martial arts at 13 or 14. I'm not going to sit back and waste all that time I put in to not, give my sport what it deserves. And that's all my effort and time.
Can you speak on that aspect though? Because I feel like so many people, whether they become professional fighters or not, they turn to martial arts because they want to do something better in their life given some adversity they may have faced. And you and your brother's story is very well documented, very well known. So, what would you credit martial arts with the most in that aspect of turning your life, maybe not so much of becoming a professional fighter,
Yeah.
but changing your life for the better?
Honestly, man, I use fighting every day in my life. And I think we're all fighters in this life. We all face adversity. We all go through tough times. And just like in the gym, man, you got to get your reps in, your good reps. And same with the day-to-day life. You got to make sure you're doing the right things, saying the right things, thinking the right things for you to have a great performance and a great outcome, not just in, fighting, but also in life. So they go hand in hand. It taught me confidence, respect, self-respect, all this stuff I learned at a young age from Taekwondo and throughout the sport as well, mixed martial arts. You learn so much about yourself. I think fighting is the purest form of really knowing who you are individually because you go out there and the spotlights are so bright, they don't hide anything. They show everything that you are, if you're insecure or if you're overconfident or if you're confident enough and if you're ready enough. So that's the one thing I love about this sport. Just the life skills that you gain throughout it. Not only that, the mental toughness, the physical toughness, and just seeing both sides of life. I'll go in these camps. I'm very strict on myself, not messing around, not drinking, not smoking, not eating bad stuff. And then the way I feel and the way I think is just so pure. And then obviously outside of my fights, I'll go back to, normal life. And I'm just like, this ain't it, man. I wish I could constantly be in a fight camp and have fights because it's just the mentality. It just makes you so pure. I love it. It's a very beautiful sport.
Well, that was very beautiful, and I thank you for sharing that. And kind of more on a somber note, I do want to ask because I did speak to a former opponent of yours who you'll be sharing the card with, a man you know very well, Rafion
Yeah.
Stotts. And I did want to ask you because we did lose someone very near and dear to both you and your brother, and Duke
So,
Rufus. And just how will you carry all the lessons and the legacy of Duke Rufus, not just in this fight week, but for the rest of your career, and in a certain extent, to your son as well?
Oh, for sure, man. Duke has paved me so much into a better person. I wish, my story is interesting. I was a young kid and I was very not confident. I didn't believe in myself. I just didn't have anything. I was just like very shy, very just not well spoken. But I think the sport brought that all out of me, and Duke helped me see that as well. He also was the younger brother of a superstar, so he knew exactly how to get to me and how to motivate me and how to just prep me for what's coming and ahead because he knew things were going to do really well for me. He always said the best is yet to come, and I still haven't performed my full capabilities. And I agree with him, man. I feel like I'm gonna be like wine. I age better, as I get older, and my style's the exact same way. So, but man, everything he's taught me, I'm passing it on to my teammates. I got younger cousin AJ Pettis who's making his way up the ranks in the local circuit, and just everything that Duke's taught me, how the level of training you need to be at mentally, physically, and just spiritually, and all has to be aligned. And passing that down to my teammates, not only that, sharing that with the world. Knowledge is wasted when not shared. So I feel like that's my goal is to share and keep Duke's memory alive. That's how it's going to be staying alive. Just with all this life skills. It was, man. Looking back at it, Duke was a legendary coach. Legendary person. It's definitely tough to not have him here, but I think he would want me to separate the two and focus on what I got to focus on this Saturday, this performance.
I cannot wait, man. I'm getting more and more excited just talking
Yeah,
to you.
thank you.
And speaking of all of that, kind of coming full circle, all those things that you and your brother learned, you talked about your cousin as well. I'm very curious of just on your thoughts on your brother starting up a promotion that's gotten a lot of attention,
Yeah,
but just in the fact of this is part of what Duke taught you guys, right? In giving back
yeah.
to the community, exercising a platform for so many other fighters. Why does the outside part of the fight game, outside of just your fights, mean so much to both you and your brother?
Oh man, just where we came from. We didn't come from the best upbringing. We had some issues with the family, and just tough times in Milwaukee. Milwaukee's a tough place to grow up in. There's a lot of violence here, a lot of gun violence. We lost our family due to a lot of violence, so we want to be a positive force for not just Milwaukee, but for the world. Martial arts has changed our lives, and we want to have other people change their life through martial arts. Very proud of Anthony. The APFC is blowing up. I mean, it's only been like 3 or 4 years since he's been rolling, but man, things have been going super well. And Anthony's one of those guys. Anything he touches, it turns into gold. So very proud of my brother, man. Very, very, very lucky to have him as a brother as well.
On a much lighter note, you say that he didn't touch your chains though, right? Because those are
Nah,
some
nah,
real gold. Like
yeah.
you're saying, everything he touches turn to gold, so I want to make sure he doesn't touch your
Nah,
chains.
I had to take a couple punches to the head for these chains.
I love it, man. On a much, much lighter note, looking towards the future, you talked about some of the things that we're seeing here with the PFL. Obviously, a much different landscape than how you came over from the Bellator and all of that. Now, no more season, no more tournaments.
Yep.
Your thoughts for the company's future, bringing in the rankings, kind of establishing a kind of familiar road for all
Yeah.
MMA fans to understand. Is this the right move for the PFL?
I believe this is the right move for the PFL. Even personally, I was watching the tournament last season, and it was hard to keep up with all the weight classes, all the fights in general. So, not saying I don't want to fight for 500,000 or a million at the end of the tournament or whatever, but I think it's just easier for the fans to follow, and I think the company's headed in the right direction for sure. Just, is what I've been used to my whole life is not really tournament style. It's fight by fight rankings, and yeah, I think things are going to go well.
And with that, the new man in charge, it's a man who's been getting so much praise and credit, and that's the new CEO, John Martin. I know this will be your first fight week with John, but curious from what you've seen online, some of the interviews he's already done, do you believe the right man is now in charge to take this promotion to the next level?
Yeah, I think John's the right man for sure. I think just how things are going right now, just the redirection, getting on board with what the fans want to see and what the viewers want to see is important. So yeah, I think we're heading in the right direction, and there's some good fights coming up, man. Honestly, I think there's some killer fights in the 135 division specifically. I know they got fighting Naoki Inoue, so and I think they're gonna cross promote with Risen as well, so or Ryzen, but yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm excited. I think John's the man.
And I'm curious your thoughts on what the PFL has obviously made clear, not only going to some fight-friendly cities, but bringing some fan-friendly fighters like yourself. We saw it in Pittsburgh. Several fighters from that area were on that card. We're
Yeah.
seeing it now. You're headlining the Chicago card. Is this the right way to promote to the masses and the casual MMA fans of hitting big cities with homegrown talent? I know you're from Milwaukee, but in
Yeah.
that same area.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Obviously, the people that are in the area want to see their boys fight, and I got a big fan base out of Milwaukee and in the Midwest in general. So I think it was only right I was on this card, and we actually got a couple teammates from Wisconsin. My teammate Jordan Newman's the co-main event. Rafian Stott's not from Wisconsin, but trained out of Wisconsin for a long time. He'll be here. Got a lot of fans as well. My teammate Nate Jennerman too. He's from Sheboygan, Wisconsin, and he's on the card as well. It's gonna be a cool showing, man. I haven't fought with some of these guys like Nate Jennerman. I haven't fought with him on the same card since I was 18 years old. So yeah, 14 years later is pretty awesome.
That is absolutely. Now I do got to ask because we both mentioned him now. Rafian Stocks, you and him are at the top of this division. And not to speak for Rafian, but he wanted to misdirect every question about possibly fighting you. It's not comfortable for him.
Yeah,
He'd
yeah.
rather just take out all the new young talent coming in through the division. That's what he said to me. I'm curious if you kind of line up. He said, listen, if it has to happen for gold, it has to happen for
Yeah.
gold. But I'm curious if you're under that same mindset of let's welcome on all the new challengers, and later on down the line, if we have to, we will.
Yeah, exactly. If it makes sense and it's for gold, would definitely go at it. But personally, yeah, it was hard to fight Rafian in general. I got a lot of respect for the man. Um, his family, just him as a person. He's a great dude. He's a great husband, great teammate. He's gotten me so good throughout the years. We were with each other for like 6 to 7 years continuously. I was seeing him more than I see some of my family members. So it was like he became family to me. He's still family to this day. I want to see him do really well. But I think that even for the fans, it is cool to see, guys fighting new guys, like instead of like their rematches and all that. if it has to happen, so be it. You know, I'm sure he'll be ready to compete again if it's for belt. But yeah, I prefer not to have that fight, honestly.
Yeah, I would love to see just what you guys do moving forward without having to fight one another.
Yeah.
Sergio, I mean this wholeheartedly. You're somebody I've always wanted to interview, man, just
Oh,
in this
man, thank you.
pre-fight standpoint. And it's been everything I thought and more. So looking at 2026 as I get you out of here, we know this fight happens on April 11th against Mitch McKee, but what is the perfect 2026 for you?
Perfect 2026 is this Saturday. I get a very spectacular finish with something I haven't landed yet. And then after that, I get a title shot between, I think, Alves and Naoki Inoue. I think that makes the most sense. You know, he's former ex-champion of Risen. But not only that, Alves, you know, the tournament champion, you know, that was what I thought was going to be next regardless. So I get, yeah, I get another fight and hopefully it's a title shot. If not, I just get another fight, man. I'm trying to stay active. I'm trying to stay busy.
Well, a busy Sergio Pettis is a good thing for me.
Oh, man,
Hopefully,
thank
we'll
you.
talk more moving forward, man. I'm very excited. It is truly an honor to see the way that you and your brother, and I've only had an opportunity to cover you, so to see the way you and your brother packed the house in Chicago, it's absolutely amazing. I cannot wait to see the influence you guys have in the crowd and what you will do inside the Smart Cage on April 11th. Thank you so much for the opportunity, sir, and we look forward to seeing you at the Wintrust Arena.
My man, thank you so much. I appreciate your time, and I'm glad I got to talk to you as well, brother. I hope you keep it rolling.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.